Hi everyone, Sandra here from the Schwoben's Nest. Here's a cute little Mother's Day gift idea.
The first thing you'll need is some type of frame. This is an 8x10 frame and I actually picked this up at my Dollarama. It's called an artist's panel and it was $2.50. But I'm going to not use the front side of it, I'm going to use the back of it. So you could also pick up this size of stretched canvas frame and just flip it upside down. I like having the wood panel in here. If you were using a canvas piece, you could actually just cut out a thin piece of balsa wood and lay that and glue it inside as well. You're also going to need some letters that spell out the word mom. And I've got double letters because I'm going to glue them and make them a little bit thicker. Then you're also going to need some florals, whatever you would like. I'm going to use this blue hydrangea and this white dogwood. And that's going to be going around the outside of the frame. I'm also going to be using a piece of nautical rope as a hanger. So I'll be attaching that. And then you'll also need some type of paint. I'm going to be painting the exterior of this and the interior of it with my Rust-Oleum white linen chalk paint.
First step is to completely paint the frame on the inside and the outside with the white chalk paint.
So while I wait for the frame to dry, I'm going to take my letters and glue them together to make them more dimensional. And I'm just going to use my Aleene's tacky glue to do that. I could also use hot glue, but hot glue tends to leave more thickness and I really didn't want any gaps showing. So that's why I'm going to use the Aleene's. So I'm just sandwiching them together and making sure that they're even. And then I'm just going to set them aside to dry. And you'll notice that my O's are white, and that's because I had a big mess that I had to clean up and my O's got involved in that. Stay tuned at the end of the video and you'll be able to see what happened. So because the flowers I chose are these blues and whites, I decided to paint the letters, the mom letters, with a nice shade of blue instead, just so they would blend in a little bit nicer. I thought the black might be just a little bit too harsh. So just like this frame, I'm only going to give the letters one coat of the blue paint. If a little bit of the wood shows through, I'm fine with that because it will look a little bit more distressed. So the exterior of my frame is now dry. This type of wood didn't take long to soak up the paint, but the inside of it here is still fairly wet. So I'm going to work with the outside, and what I'm going to do now is add the nautical rope, which is going to be the hanger, and I'm just going to attach that with some hot glue. It doesn't matter how much glue sticks out because with my design, the florals are actually going to cover this portion of the nautical rope. Also putting a little bit of hot glue on the end of the nautical rope just so it doesn't fray. The next step is then to take your florals and actually just pull the blooms off because we don't need the stems for this project. We're only going to be using the blooms, and this way we'll be able to place them in such a way that they look really pretty and we won't have to worry about any of the stems sticking out and showing. So now I'm going to start taking these blossoms and just start randomly gluing them onto the outside of the frame. So they're actually going to make a little bit of the frame. And then I'm also going to be covering the whole part of this frame with the blossoms so you can't actually see it, and it should be nice and full and kind of just look like a square wreath, but it's actually got a nice frame backing to it. So I hope you notice that I was staggering the blooms, facing them one way or another and then just kind of doing the opposite, just because I don't want them to be kind of in a row. I want them to look more natural. So this is how it's going to start, and I'm just going to continue along with the 3 sides. So this is now the exterior of the frame, and so far it looks pretty cute. But now I'm going to work on the inside, and I'm going to finish up the letters before I put more florals on, because I want to be able to fill florals all the way in here around it. And if I do that now, I'll have a hard time working on the inside. I'm going to use stencils, which I've cut into manageable pieces. I do that with all of my stencils. If they're big enough, I do individual pieces, but these are quite small, so I'm going to just leave them in these chunks and use them that way. So I've decided to glue my letters in this way, and I'm really happy with this color that I chose because it blends in with these sort of purpley blue hydrangeas. So I'm just going to use my hot glue gun, and I'm going to glue these on. Now it's time to stencil the words. I'm going to use the same blue paint that I used for these letters, and I'm going to be using a pounce brush, just a real tiny one here, because I don't want to have really full letters. I want them to be more sponge looking. So hopefully this will turn out. If not, I'm getting my white paint out again and covering it up and starting over. I'm going to have to wait for that to dry before I can move on to the next one. So I'm going to move down to this one. That is Loving, and I'll put my L in. And again, I'm just going to wait for this to dry. So I'm going to move down to this one, which is Amazing, Loving, and Home. So I need to do an O and an H, and I'm going to start backwards so I can put the letter O in the right spot, kind of line it up with all of these. Now I'm going to continue working on the florals all the way around. I'll probably add something in here and maybe something around in this corner just to fill it in a little bit more. Now that I'm done with the hydrangea flowers, I'm going to go ahead and add some of these white dogwood in between, just to give it a little bit more texture and just to fill in the frame a little bit more. This is the finished design, so I think it looks really pretty. This color out here in my hallway makes it look a little bit more purple. It's actually a little bit more blue, but I think it's a really sweet thing. I think any mom would love this and would love to hang it in their home somewhere. You could make it with any type of flowers, any different colors. I think it would be really pretty in soft pinks, or maybe some yellows, or even some daisies, and you could find her favorite flowers and do it with that.
I hope you enjoyed this video and found some inspiration to make some pretty Mother's Day gifts for your mom. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to click the bell to get notified when I upload new videos.
That you can see here.